Hey, it's P, the Craft Bean. It's been a little while, but I thought I would hop on and share some crafty stuff. In Barbara's latest junk journaling planner video for January 2025, she had made a comment that if you used her junk journal style planners to share, and I have been using them for the last year. So this was my first one. Gotta remember where the camera is. This was January, February, March, and April of 2024. This was my second one. This was June, July, August, and September. No, June, July, August. No, May, June, July, August, and September. There we go. I can count the months. And then September, October, November, December. This is the one I'm finishing up now. I'm not going to go too in depth in my first two, only because they have a lot of personal stuff in them, and most of this one also has all of my personal ephemera, photos of my kids and all of that, and I don't share my kids on the internet because it's the internet. But I did want to kind of show how I took her idea and applied it to myself. And so one of the things you'll notice that is different from my journals and Barbara's journals is that she uses fabric on both sides. I do use her paper bag method, but I like the look of brown paper and I love paper, so I actually leave the outside plain and then use my scrapbooking paper, which is the other difference, is I don't currently use digitals. Currently I am trying to work my way through my paper stash. I have been a scrapbooker since high school, and I want to use the paper I've collected over the several years I've been scrapbooking and card making and all of that. So I also use stamps and other things. So this is my first cover, and I will show you the inside. My inside is always fabric, and then I have a front pocket. This is just for me sticking things in like that I know I'm going to plan on putting them on my journal. All of my months are tabbed. I will show you a monthly spread in a minute, because I'm going to show you my December stuff, because it wouldn't be me if I wasn't a little behind. So this was the first one. I loved it. It got nice and filled, not too chunky, but it definitely got nice and filled, and I continued doing it. And I did do, like, the back of my covers are also just paper. I did a little collage and put the year on the back with the January to April. See, I didn't even have to remember the order of the months. I labeled it. So that was the first one I made, and then I made this one. I will let you know that this bee is from a local artist. She put her watercolor art at the library. Her name, let's give her credit. These are watercolors by Debbie Cranwell. And so she had, so both the bee and this little gnome are both her artwork. And I just used them as focal points in my journal. And you'll see here I started decorating my front cover. These are stamps. This is my own handwriting, stamps, and some paper. Again, you'll see my monthly tabs and stuff like that. And then here I will show you this is the one I'm just about finished with. I am finishing this last week in here, even though it's technically 2025. I knew the way my life and my schedule works that it was not going to work for me to put this holiday week in a new journal. I wanted it in this journal. So this is my cover. It is a graphic 45 paper. It is a very old collection. So there's that. And then this is my front forward pocket. And this is my cluster. This chicken is from a worksheet from my kids that they didn't want. But what I was going to show you is how I have my stuff set up for each month. So let's go to, you can tell I'm behind because December, and don't worry about this picture. This is just Ryan Reynolds. He sends me a Christmas card because I pay for his cell phone service, which is Mint Mobile. Anyway, This I have not done because it's going to be part of, I'm trying to finish up my December prompts, which is also run by Barbara, 49 Dragonflies, and Louisa, which is Louisa Heinzel. Both here on YouTube. They're phenomenal artists. I definitely recommend go checking them out. So what I can show you is some of my setup. So this is my cover page. Usually here I do some sort of tracking for myself, whether it's like highlights or I'm tracking specific habits, whatever, journaling, moments, favorite music. Somehow I track something in my life on this inside. Sometimes it's quotes, who knows. I always make myself a card for the month. This is my card for December. And this is usually where I put a photo. I don't have a photo in this spot currently. So this is just this, and you might notice some of the prompts from December Ember, which I am working through currently. This front page is always my cluttered mind. It's where I have my ongoing monthly to-do list, whatever I'm working on, whatever project I am doing, that's here. And then you'll see a weekly. This is a typical weekly for me, and it's just done on dot grid. This dot grid I did coffee stain, and I just put notes. This is a Christmas card I received from my my husband's grandmother, and after they spent the month of December on my fridge, I take them and I use them in my December Ember prompts. So this is part of a December Ember. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I can show you. And then I just have different types of paper. Like here I just have some coffee stained notebook paper. This is pulled out of an old notebook. I plan on doing some journaling about a hike we went on. This is just an envelope, well, half of an envelope. This is my Christmas card from my daughter, and then it goes back into weeklies. And then this is, again, where you'll see some of that bullet journal style come in my journals. I always, as my center piece of my signature, I do use dot grid so that I can do a calendar. I enjoy having a calendar layout. So sometimes I track appointments, sometimes I just track memories, sometimes I stamp, sometimes I doodle. I just like seeing the month at a glance. It's one of my favorite layouts. It's one of the ones that if I am journaling, I am probably drawing a calendar. I do normally track my books over here. I have them all saved on my phone. I just currently haven't written them down. And then here on the bottom is just some stamping that my daughter colored for me. And so that is a typical journal. It does repeat. In each of my signatures, I have 7 different pages, 2 of which are like just standard dot grid. So I'm going to be working on my 2025 journal, and so I do have some stuff pulled out. I have these 2 fabrics. They are both just from my stash and from previous projects. This is like a pretty brown with some like texture. It's like a woven, it kind of gives canvas feels. This is definitely an outdoor, like this is a rough fabric. I did use it for a bed for our dog at one point. And this is just the scrap I have left over. I like, it's heavy duty, it's got good texture. I don't know, I like it. I really like these colors. We'll see which one I choose. I am a little worried because this is thicker how it will glue to the paper, but I do take my journal out and about with me, so I kind of like having a heavier duty fabric. I like the squishy, I'm like Barbara, I like the squishiness of this journal, and I like the way it flows with me and how it gets bigger, but I want it to stand up to everyday use. So just like Barbara, I am using a paper bag. This one is from the Dollar Tree. My measurements are 9 1/4 by 15 1/2. You can make it whatever size you want. I am using US standard letter size, so I wanted it taller than 8.5, which is a standard letter size paper, and I wanted plenty of room to grow, so this is what I picked. So this will be my base. I am not going to show the construction of my journal on camera because you can go watch Barbara's video, because that's the tutorial that I followed, and my pages are different, but the construction is the same. I'm gonna use this old paper collection that I found. I'm pretty sure it's a Recollections collection that is a gajillion years old. I'm just gonna use it. These are the loose 12 by 12 sheets I had from the sheet that were falling out of the paper pad, and these are all the offcuts that I have from the paper collection. And I don't know what my cover is going to be because I haven't created it yet. I am just going to play with my paper and go from there. And so I just have scraps. One of the things I like most about this journal is that I get to use my scraps. I love all of the paper that I buy. It's all cute, it's all fun. It's all usually somehow my style in one way or another, but I don't need 7,000 mini albums in every paper collection that I have. Okay, that's exaggerating, but I don't need that many mini albums, and I'd rather this paper get used, like bits and pieces of it, in my planner and then create projects for other people and stuff like that. So this is the scrap pile I'm going to be pulling from, and then this is all of the paper for my signatures. So I have 6 different styles of paper, with my 7th being 2 of the dot grid. So I am a bullet journaler, so I have my dot grid paper. It's, again, I pulled it out of a notepad. It's got dot grid on both sides. I will probably either spray it, ink it, stencil it, somehow. I will probably, because this is my monthly and my weeklies, I will keep the amount of stuff I do on my paper for the dot grid pretty limited. I've noticed that if I go too heavy with the sprays and the inks, I can't see the dots, which makes it harder to do my actual planning. So I don't want to do too much on this until I am actively using it in that month. So I will do something to kind of break the white page, but not too much that it gets in the way of me actually doing my planner. So that there are 8 sheets of this, and each signature will get 2 of them. And that center page in all of my signatures will be a dot grid. And then I just have miscellaneous pages. This is old stationery paper from back in the day when I was writing my husband letters when he was active duty. This is some old grid paper that I coffee stained years ago and has been in my stash, and this is like the last of what I have. The last of it goes into my journal. And then I have this. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this, and I will show you why, but when I get to the end of a journal, I tend to pull out the pages that I didn't end up using, so that they can be reused in another journal. And this was pulled out of an old bullet journal that I didn't finish like the last few pages of. I like this paper. I could easily use it, but I don't know. It's a little too close to my other dot grid, so it's a maybe. It's a maybe. I might end up swapping this out when I go in to actually build the journal. And then I had some black policy envelopes left over from my mini album making day. If you were making mini albums back in 2010, the 2010s, you probably remember all of the envelope albums that we all made, and policy envelopes became a huge popular thing. And these are, I have the last of my policy envelopes for this journal. And the last thing I have that I'm going to put in as part of my signature is, this is paper I pulled out of an old sketchbook. This was the last few pages that my kids were done with a sketchbook. And they didn't need this, but this was perfectly good paper. I just ripped it out, threw it in my bin, and figured I'd find a project for it. So here is what I currently have as my signature setup, and it may change. We'll see. So we have that stationery paper as my outside. This would be considered my like cover page for the month. This would be where I would do my tracking. This, that sketchbook paper got folded in half and will be my card. I think this ends up being almost an A2. Yes, it's 4 1/4 by just barely not 5 1/2, but I'm pretty sure it's close to 5 1/2. It's close enough. So this is an A2 card front. So all of my card making skills and dies, like all of that translates to here. So that'll be there. This is usually where I was putting a photo frame, but I've honestly, out of all of my journals and all of the months after a year, haven't really been putting the photo in, and I end up putting the photos in like a spread that I make later on that correlates with like the week that we did something. So I may or may not change up what's here. Don't know. We'll see how 2025 B feels about things. This will be where my Cluttered Mind monthly to-do list will go. Then this will be my first week, and then I have the policy, like the first half of that policy envelope to decorate and play with. I usually either slice off the top and make it a pocket, or slice off the end and make it a pocket. You could leave it not as a pocket and just use it as a front and back. It's kind of fun to play with. And then this will be the grid paper. And then this is where I am like, meh. See, this is that notebook dot grid that I pulled out. And then this is my actual weekly, like this will be my second week, and then my monthly calendar would go here. And I'm not sure how I feel about this. Let's see, can I put it somewhere else? Does it look better like this? See, I don't know. That's why we play. I don't know. I have to play with this. I might switch this out. So off camera, I went ahead and inked my pages. I have the stationery page. I just played with my inks, and they're nice and sopping and wet now. I have gotten sufficiently inky, and my papers are now ready to dry before I put them into my signature. Also off camera, I did end up swapping out that dot grid paper that was very similar to my base dot grid paper for some brown paper. This is just some old brown paper that I coffee stained. I tore it up. I wanted another short page. So I have all of my pages prepped and ready to go. These ones on the bottom just need to dry. So I set all of this up to the side. I also prepped my cover. So on the inside, I have my fabric. So I end up using the stripy fabric that's like the outdoor fabric. I was worried about it sticking with the glue, and you need a good thick glue, like a tacky glue, and I wouldn't water it down too much. It did stick. I did need to glue it a second time because I normally water down my glue, and I watered it down too much for this fabric. So there's that. I also went through and stitched on it. Sorry. I have my crafting buddy on my desk over here, so if you see her tail come into frame, she's just being her. She's always on the desk. Anyway, sidetracked. I did also go through and stitch around this, and I did some like stitching lines that went up and down to follow the stripes. On the back, which will be my front cover, I know there's a bit of a glare, but I did some rub-ons of feathers, and it actually goes this way. And this will be my front cover and this will be my back cover. And I did pull all of my embellishments, and I thought I would take you along for putting my like collaged embellishments together. Your tail is very much in the way, excuse me. So let's see. So I have this piece, and all I did was ink and sew around it. So we'll glue that down. Let's see if my glue is clogged. I used it recently, so it shouldn't be. Nope, it's all good. You can use whatever preferred sticking method you like. If you're a double-sided tape, if you have an ATG gun from back in the day, I have one, I just don't feel like digging it out. If you are a liquid glue person, if you're a glue stick person, you use whatever glue you like. Are there reasons you should use one glue over the other? Sure, but you should use whatever glue you like. It's if you're like, I can't stand liquid glue, then don't use it. Use what you like. So that is my cover page, and then I have some little embellishments up here that I've also prepped. So my next piece is this piece. This one I did not sew around or add anything to, I just inked it up. And I'm just gonna glue it down as part of my cluster. And actually this piece needs to go under here, so I am gonna kind of sort of line that up and stick it down. And this piece is a piece of the graph paper that is also going to be in my notebook as part of my first signature, or part of every signature, excuse me. And the only thing I did with this is I took my dauber in crushed olive and I just daubed it because I like the little splatters it creates. I think they're fun, I think they're interesting. And then my main piece is going to be this piece, and this just came out of the paper collection. It had 2 brackets. I ripped off the bottom bracket, I daubered it. I had these rub-ons that are the feathers. You'll see them all over the back over here. That's all the shiny bits. And I am going to put this guy right here. I did sew some lace on it. I did put some blue paper on it, and then I tore around it. I wanted to pick up, because my paper collection was neutral, and I love neutral collections and all, but I like color. I like lots of bright, fun color. So I just had this torn little piece. It came off of here. I just wanted more peaks of blue, so I inked it up, and I'm gonna use it because if I don't, it'll end up in the garbage. And so I might as well use it. Yeah. So we're just gonna tuck that in there. And I'm just creating layers here. I'm not doing anything groundbreaking. And I definitely should have stuck this piece down first, but that's fine. And this will go, I need it to go under this piece a little, just a smidgen. It's usually why I only glue around like the middle, but you can put your cluster together however you feel like. I am a wing it kind of person. I kind of lightly planned it out before. Okay, not lightly. I planned it out before, let's be honest. I spent an absorbent amount of time hemming and hawing over what little pieces I wanted, because I have a scrapbooker's brain and card maker. It didn't feel like a long time because I just sat here, listened to some music. My kids came and checked in on me. Oh, I also need this little piece first too, so before that glue dries, really should glue from back to front, and you can tell I did not do that. It's fine. Okay. There's some more glue on here. I'll glue that down. glue some of these edges down. And I do have a little piece that needs to go under this. And I'm just going to throw some glue right there because that's about where the piece needs to go. So we're going to put this little piece of, I like having groups of 3 of things, so you'll notice there are 3 pieces of graph paper. There is roughly 3 bits of green showing. And I got 1, 2, 3 darks. And then the last couple of bits are going to be down here. Let's push that down. So then I want this piece to go like that. And this is just like that, I think it's like Tim Holtz film strip. And all I did was take a piece of the blue cardstock and sandwich it in the film strip, and then I sewed right through it on my sewing machine. I love sewing through paper. I think it's wonderful. And then this is something I fussy cut out of the paper. It's just a little typewriter. And then I also fussy cut the words love and always out of the paper collection. And I'm just going to put extra glue over here because it's got to come up and over that film tape. Do I make a mess with liquid glue? Yes, but I can reposition liquid glue. It takes a second to dry more than adhesive tape. And I don't rip as much paper. I didn't say I can rip any paper, just not as much. Okay, so front cover. I also have my back cover. So first I sewed my stripes and then I sewed my box, and then this one kind of came out like spacing wise weird, and I don't love it, so I'm just gonna cover it. If you don't love it, cover it. It's fine. No one is gonna know. And we're gonna do this. So I'm just gonna line it up so that that stitch is kind of, it looks like it's this stitch, but not exactly. Get it mostly centered. Double check that on camera. And then the next piece is this piece. And I'm just gonna glue this. I did the lace thing. I sewed the lace on the edge of the paper. When I sew something as fiddly as lace, I glue it, let it dry, and then run my sewing machine through it. I have an old beater sewing machine. Yes, I use it for sewing. All I do is switch out my needles. I have a paper needle and a fabric needles, and all I do is make sure that I switch out the paper needles. And honestly, when my sewing needles get dull, they become paper needles. So, and then usually it's the paper that breaks the needle anyway. So it's get my use out of every bit of the needle. And then I just had these 2 little bits. They were just little scraps, and then I just took some of that graph paper and I just wrote Jan to April, because this will be the next 4 months for me, and then I wrote 2025. And I think I'm gonna glue this to this, and we go like, we're just gonna build up. So this is just gonna get put on here somewhere. I want the blue hanging a little lower, and then we'll throw some glue around here. And we'll grab this piece and go like this. And I'll flip the whole thing over and glue the whole thing down. And then I'm just gonna plop this somewheres roughly about there. And now my cover is done. Oh wait, there was that. What did I do with it? Let me see. where I set it. I had... Those are the ones... on my desk. So off to the side. So I saved... Because this is a weird line from the paper because there was a, like, a swirl there. But, so I don't have to worry about it. I'm just going to... I saved one of the gold feather rub-ons, and I'm just going to line up the internal stem with that, and I'm going to press this on, and half the feather will be on the back ephemera piece, kind of tying in that, and then the rest will be back on the paper, and hopefully it'll make it look kind of intentional, or at least less weird. That's my guess. My hope is less weird. Thank you, Janeway. Do you approve, little lady? Okay. I gotta remove a kitten. Pardon me. And the last thing I have is I'm gonna flip this over and check it. See if I like it. I do. And then on my inside cover, I prepped a pocket. It was just one of the 4x6, I assume it's 4x6, I guess, journaling cards. And again, all I did was add some lace. I sewed around it, and then I just glued the lace on the back, and then I covered it with washi tape so that nothing catches with where I glued it as I'm putting it in another pocket, because I do use my front pocket. It's usually where I stash ephemera. Like if I know I'm not going to be able to journal, I would love to journal every day. It is a goal of mine, but life happens, and so sometimes I don't get to the craft room until the end of the week, or I can just get like little, like I can sneak away for, you know, 10-15 minutes here or in between this task and that task. So I try to keep as much of my stuff together as I can. And I am using tacky glue because I'm gluing onto fabric, and I'm still not sure this is going to work. We're gonna see. I am going to glue this, and then that is pretty much it for my 2025 journal. I'm going to let this glue dry. I'm going to let my papers dry. I'm going to put all my papers into their signatures, and then I will start using my journal on Monday. I hope you guys have an awesome week, and I will catch you soon. Bye!